Hi, my name is Amanda Dumsch, and I'm a career counselor in the Office of Intramural Training and Education at the National Institutes of Health. Today we are going to be talking about the differences between a resume and a CV. These words are often used interchangeably, so it can be confusing to know when and how to use each document. In this video, we are going to be going over these differences of these two important job search documents. The confusion over resumes and CVs is often compounded by the fact that there is not a standard resume or CV template. Your documents will and should look different than your lab mates. While there aren't formal rules to follow, there are certain expectations for each document. CVs are often the norm in a scientific research environment, so most scientists are familiar with the basics for creating a CV. Therefore, creating a resume can be a bit more challenging. A lot of scientists' resumes end up looking a lot like a CV, and when placed in an applicant pool with resumes, this CV will stand out as odd and out of touch. It's important to understand the key differences between these documents and take the time to convert your CV to a resume when the position calls for it. So when do you use a resume versus a CV? If you're unsure, ask the hiring manager. Or poll your network and do informational interviews with people who are working at that company or in that industry. Generally, though, you use a CV when applying to academic, government, or research positions. A CV is often the preferred document for grants or fellowship applications as well. Use a resume for everything else, especially if you are applying to industry positions. As noted in this chart, some other key differences are the length and formatting between the two documents. As opposed to CVs, resumes are often shorter, more concise, and highly tailored for the job at hand. Resumes for postdocs range from 1 to 3 pages, but try to keep yours on 2 pages. The general rule of thumb is 1 page for every 8 to 10 years of experience. CVs are often long because you include your full publication record. Generally, you omit this section from your resume. Another option would be to note a group of selected publications, but choose the most recent and/or the most relevant. The purpose of a resume is to use it as a targeted marketing tool, whereas a CV is often seen as an ongoing academic and work history. One of the key differences between a CV and a resume is the content of what you include. On a resume, it has to be very succinct and relevant to the reader or the position at hand. You only have space for a few key sections, such as a qualification summary, education, experience, and skills. Whereas on a CV, you may include a wide range of professional accomplishments and activities in sections like awards, grants, conferences, poster presentations, and your full publication list. For both documents, it is important to be genuine, but this is not the space to be modest. These documents are often the only introduction you get to present to a potential employer, so take the time to review them often. Other key differences between a CV and a resume are the page length and design. As noted before, for a CV, it's virtually unlimited length. However, it should remain focused still. For a resume, try to keep it on 1 to 3 pages. The design is also a key difference between a CV and a resume. Resumes are highly formatted. You want to maximize all of the white space on that document. Whereas with a CV, there is very little formatting, but it still must be clean and easy to read. You don't often see bullet points on a CV. Your lab and your publications often speak for themselves on a CV. This is not true for a resume. So you must include bullet points on your resume under your experience section. Don't assume that your lab or job title is enough to convince the reader that you are qualified for the position. On a resume, you should be using strong active verbs and numbers to highlight your accomplishments in a quantitative way. As an example, don't just say you taught a lab section. Employers want to know specifics, like the fact that you designed lesson plans and taught introductory biology to 54 undergraduate students. Remember these key factors when you're creating your bullet points for your resume. There are some universals for both documents. For both a resume and a CV, you should omit the following. Personal pronouns. When you're creating your bullet points, Never say I or my team or any other personal pronoun. It can feel awkward, but you sort of speak in the third person. Additionally, you don't need to label your documents. I often see people label their document curriculum vitae or resume at the top. That's unnecessary to include. Lastly, you don't include references on either your resume or CV. Generally, this is a separate document entirely. It's not even necessary to say references are available upon request. It's assumed you have a list of references to provide when the time comes. If you have any specific questions about the differences between a resume and a CV, don't hesitate to be in touch. You can email me at amanda.dumsch@nih.gov.